the Lattes and Lingerie Podcast. My name is Elle Pierce, and I am your host for the virtual sleepover. No, way too hot. Today, we are just going off the cuff because I recently started a seasonal job at a retail store, and your girl had to get off the night schedule. This is only day 2. I got up at 1 p.m. on Thursday, and then had to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and 7 o'clock in the morning today. It is like 6 p.m. now, and I am feeling pretty tired. So here we are. So I realized in the last couple of videos I wasn't very clear about what it is that I do. And so I think that now is a great time for me to kind of like talk a little bit about what it is that I do, kind of how I got here, and then just gonna kind of see how everything goes. I am a boudoir photographer, and basically, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, is that I take empowering photos of people, and usually it's of an intimate nature. Now, there is a difference between pornography and boudoir photography. It's anybody's guess whose quote this is, but somebody said, it's difficult to define pornography, but I know it when I see it. Now, pornography is not, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't have anything against any artist who creates pornography or any models who take part in it. However, there is an innate difference between the two. Now, boudoir photography is innately intimate, but it is also implicit. And so the definition of explicit doesn't just mean like nasty, right? Like that's not even what it means. Explicit means obvious, and implicit means subtle. And so these may not be the dictionary definitions, but these are kind of like my definitions, and I think that they're valid to describe boudoir photography versus some more explicit forms of photography. Even fine art nudes, you know, it's not that isn't boudoir necessarily, because boudoir is more than just a style of photography. It's actually a feeling that the person who is in the photo feels, right? So, of course, people don't just say like, oh, I'm feeling very boudoir today. Like, that obviously doesn't make any sense. Boudoir isn't really a verb that you describe a way that you're feeling. But in order for it to be a boudoir photo shoot, number one, you're most likely not a professional model. You're usually an actual person who is looking to do this as an experience, not as, not with some ulterior motive, even though it could be a very altruistic motive. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having professional photos done with a motive. But a boudoir photography photo shoot is usually something that is with the motive of it being the experience, right? So anybody who does a photography shoot with me usually is, through my brand Cherry Tree Boudoir, is usually someone who just wants the photos for having the photos. And so that's one thing that really differentiates boudoir to other types of fashion photography, because, you know, really in a very broad sense, boudoir photography is just a special type of fashion photography. I'm doing fucking good so far. I thought I was tired. Who knew? We had to switch to the early bird cup, if you guys are noticing. Last week we had the night owl cup. These are from Voltsgraph. I got them a few years ago from Macy's. Super cute. But they're huge. This holds like 20 ounces. You could put a entire 20-ounce bottle in here. That was the smallest sip ever, because it's still too hot. Now, another thing that is a little bit different about boudoir is that boudoir is actually, like I was saying earlier, is associated with a feeling for whomever it is that is the model in the portrait. Normally, someone, like I said, someone who is taking part in this photo shoot is looking for it to be some type of experience. Now, sometimes the experience is a gift, and that's kind of what people pigeonhole boudoir as. They're always like, oh, you know, I can't do a photo shoot because I'm not getting married, or I don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or I can't justify spending money like that on myself. And all of those are kind of like separate ideas of things that we can talk about later. But the point is that everybody who's pigeonholing boudoir in that way isn't understanding what the purpose of the photo shoot is in the first place. This person who's in the photo has placed it in their mind as something for someone else, until they realize that the person that they gave it to cannot value it as much as they can, as much as the person in the photo can. There's no way for someone outside of the experiencer to value a boudoir photo shoot and the products associated with a boudoir photo shoot as much as the person who is in the photo, because the portrait isn't the gift. The experience was the gift. That's pretty damn good. Yeah. That sip was a little bigger. Not bad. I recently had a client come to me, and it was interesting because she actually received a photo shoot from me about 2 years ago as a model. And so this is kind of an interesting concept because I just got done telling you how the photo shoots are supposed to be more of an experience. And a lot of people that have come to me through something called a model call. And now a model call, I don't feel like at this point in my career I need to be shy about the fact that I am trying to make money by making you feel amazing. That's what I do. I don't do this for free. Yeah, I'm an artist, but I'm not here to just do it for free because I want to do it on a big scale. And that means I need to charge for it so that I don't have to spend time not working on empowering people. And so model calls, even though you are helping, whoever you are, if you're helping a photographer with a model call, you are helping them. But they're still trying to make money on you. A model call is a way for a photographer to get you in the door at a lower price or even free, so that way you can experience a photo shoot with them and then they can profit on you while you're profiting in an experiential way. That's not slimy, it's business. So when this person came to me as a model, of course, I imagine that she thought that she was helping me. And in a way, she was. Of course, having models have photos that I'm allowed to share encourages other people to see what it's like to have a photo shoot with me and know that it's something that, this everyday person could do. So maybe me, an everyday person, could do it as well. And so it was helping me in that way. And of course, she did pay me money for the photos that she wanted to order. But she received a photo shoot as a gift from her friend who referred her to me for her first boudoir shoot with me. But she gave a photo shoot to a friend who she thought needed to have another one, to remember that she doesn't have to be a sex symbol in the way that her boudoir portraits portray her to be in order to be beautiful. Now, when I reached out to her to say, hey, I noticed that you haven't booked a photo shoot with me, even though you were gifted a photo shoot, what's going on? And she had told me that she wasn't feeling very good about her physical appearance, and that no matter what she did or what she wore, she wasn't feeling very good about it. And she had confided in me that the person that she gave the photos to, well, of course she still enjoys them herself. The person that she gave her photos to hardly looks at them, and her words were, it's a travesty. And I feel like I adequately warned this person that this would always be a gift for her first. But so many people have it ingrained in their mind that this is a gift to someone else. And I think that we can extrapolate that idea of a boudoir photo shoot being for another person to boiling it down to our bodies and lives being a gift for someone else. Of course, not every person feels this way. Of course, not every single person struggles with these kinds of concepts. But if you are the kind of person who can see yourself giving a photo shoot to someone else, but not innately seeing the value of your physical vehicle that transport your spiritual being, then perhaps you're the type of person who also looks at your body as a gift, whether to your children or to a spouse or whomever it is that is receiving the benefits. It could be your job, especially if you have a job or a career that's very physical. Jeremy, he works at a manufacturing company where he has to stand for 12 hours a day. And that's really hard on a body, right? I mean, of course, there are people who do this in a more literal way. There are sex workers who do work that definitely relies on their body. Maybe let's bring it back to the children idea, though. When you have a child, and I personally have never had a child, I just want to put that out there. But when you put it into perspective of the way that this body was given to you, from whoever, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, whether you just believe in, science and evolution from your previous ancestors, it doesn't matter. Somehow you, whoever it is that you are, in your mind and in your, the seat of your soul, in, if you're the sim diamond above your head, whatever the case, somehow you are given a physical experience that revolves inside of this body, and you are now giving that body to someone else in some way, shape, or form. It could be, like I said, through children. For years, you allow your body to be run down in order for these children or this job or this lover to be put forward. And while that's not wrong, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just the way that it is to be a human. That's something to consider, because this person that I've been referencing has a lot of love for her children, has a lot of love for her spouse, has a lot of love for the rest of her life, but she's really struggling to love the vehicle that her spirit resides in, and that's not her fault. It's just something that she's working through. And that's the idea of boudoir photography. It's supposed to be something that is transformative. It's fun, it's exciting, it's like jaw-dropping sometimes when you see your images, but it's not something that can work without your consent. You have to learn that you have to heal from whatever traumas you're carrying, and boudoir photography can help you with that, but it can't turn your life around in one day. It can't turn it can't turn your insecurities around in one day, but it can help you recognize that it's all perspective. Just like everything in life, everything that you go through is just a perspective. You can choose to look at anything from whatever direction is most valuable. If you take a look, I don't know which section it's in, right hand, left hand, now we'll know. You can take a look at this video, I don't know which one it is, one of these, to learn more about the Stoic philosophy of, not attaching to expectations and acknowledging that even though you might not have control over what happens to you in your life, you have control over how it is that you're reacting to that. But that's a whole nother podcast that you should totally go listen to. But even though you don't have control over what happens to you in your life, you do have control over how it impacts you in the long term, especially if it's something that you continue to wrestle with. And boudoir photography is just another opportunity for you to try and heal these traumas that you're carrying around, regardless of where they came from. Now, when I first started doing boudoir photography, I actually was not a photographer before I chose this niche. It sort of chose me. I knew someone who was a cam girl, and she was basically a sex worker who performed as a model on camera on the internet and was given tips for, various activities. And she had approached me and said, I need some photos for my clients, and you're the only person that I know who I would trust to do this. Would you do it for me? And it was so funny because I didn't know anything about photography. I literally didn't own any studio lights. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment that was, not super great light. It didn't have super great lighting or anything like that. There was nothing really going for me in that department. I've always been sort of creative, but my favorite job that I ever had that just didn't pay enough was being a florist. That was really fun. I really liked that. There was something about somebody coming in and buying a floral arrangement that was really awesome, especially because they knew that it was going to die, but they still wanted to give it to somebody that they loved before that happened. That was a really cool way to get into a creative field without having to be so on your own. And so I really liked working as a florist. And so this was a real awakening for me, because all through middle school, all through high school, I took these interest inventory profilers that we took, for our guidance counseling. They always told me first artist, second investigative. And so I was always involved in like drama, band. I would have been involved in art, but I'm too stubborn. I was like, I don't want to draw what people tell me to draw. I was telling him the story of how we got our bus. And he was like, are you a public speaker? Because you're really good at telling stories. You should do this more often. And I was like, thanks. That's awesome. I love it. I really would love to be. And so I like doing those things, but I don't know that I would want it to be my job. And so I was like, what is it that I can do that's creative and also allows me to, make a reasonable living? And here comes this person in my life who was able to kind of lead me down this path of like, hey, let's just try this, see how it goes. Sure enough, it was ultra cringy. Don't get me wrong. Like my first sexy photo shoot was cringy, but she loved the photos actually and was like, hey, this is really great. This is exactly what I needed. And of course this was a little bit different scope of what I ended up doing, but it was certainly the first stepping stone on this path. And so after that I was like, hey, what if I actually had any education at all in taking photos and had any equipment, any at all, like a camera, not an iPhone 5 at the time, right? If I had any lighting at all, any control over lighting, there are plenty of photographers out there who are really amazing photographers and only use natural light, but that wasn't something that I was like, it was a great risk for me, especially because I had access to studio lighting so easily, and that's like the universe shining down and saying, hey, this is a good idea. Jeremy's uncle is kind of a guy who chooses a hobby and then goes really hard into it, and previous had a photography hobby and had things that he didn't really need. And so I got a Canon 7D lighting, like studio lighting. We got 3 soft boxes. One of them was a boom. I got a tripod, which I never really ended up using that much. A backdrop stand, which I used for events before when I used to do events more often. I would do like photo booths, and I got all for like $350. Like the camera alone was worth like $1,500. And so I was extremely shocked to see that all of this stuff was just kind of falling in my lap. So I made a website, and like there we were. Like I was officially ready to go. On August 13th of 2016, I launched my business. And I was under the impression that it was pretty much just like lovebirds and like blushing brides who were going to be taking part in this kind of a photo shoot. And while that was certainly how I got started, I was like, okay, who can I basically practice on? Like, who could be my guinea pig now that I've got the equipment? Who should I call? And there was this girl that I had met, and she was getting married, and I was like, hey, let's do this if you're cool with it. And she was like, yeah, that sounds really awesome. I can't believe, like, just as the universe had given me this amazing opportunity to have this stuff for like a really screaming deal, she had been given an opportunity to have a photo shoot for free right before her wedding. The way that the universe gave me this opportunity, I was able to give her this opportunity, and so on and so on. I've been able to give women and men, hopefully someday, but so far women, the opportunity to take back control and recognize that this body takes them through life. It's not something that they just have to suffer with, something that they have to rely on. Even though not every person that I've done a photo shoot for has been like a pinnacle of health. And it's not to say that the women who were small or skinny or, felt good about their bodies before they had a photo shoot with me were all healthy. And it's not to say that the women who were larger or were uncomfortable with their bodies before they came to have a photo shoot with me were unhealthy. There have been people that I photographed who have been in ill health. You know, there was a woman who I had a photo shoot with who had been diagnosed with cancer. And there was another one who had a lumpectomy, and I asked her, you know, is this something that you want me to cover up? And she said, yes, get it the fuck off my body. And so there have been people who have had photo shoots with me who might look a way that you think that is healthy or might look a way that you think is unhealthy. And they are the opposite of your expectation. And they were opposite of my societal expectation. And the beautiful thing is that all of them go home with photos that they love, that they get to stare at whenever they need to. I'm sure that there are people that I photographed that don't look at their photos very often. And my guess is that those are the people who came to me through a model call, who were already pretty happy with the bodies that they have, and were people who only got albums. For every person out there who has had a boudoir photo shoot, who doesn't really look back on it as that memorable of an experience, there are 4 people out there, this is my estimation, there are 4 people out there who were extremely changed by their boudoir photo shoot because they can look at it and see that it's just their perspective. It's not actually the truth when they look in the mirror. There are people who have photos out all the time. And there are people who bought more than an album because instead of having it shoved away in a closet or in a box, hidden away from the world, they have it out for the world to see. And that's not to say for the world to see like it's hanging as soon as you walk in their door, there's a big sexy photo of them. It's just that the world to see is really they get to see it before they go out to see the world. And that just basically, to me, means you get to wake up and see the person that you are able to be if you need to be them before you go out and have to put on the show of what it means to be you outside in the world. So, is boudoir photography for everyone? Fuck yeah. And if it's not for you, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But it is for everyone. It's not just for blushing brides, and it's not just for honeymooners, and it's not even for just women. It's not for just skinny people. It's not for, only for larger people who want to learn how to love their body. It's not for people who, just got a second lease on life. It's not for just pregnant women. It's not for people who aren't pregnant, right? It's not just for anybody who's any type of specificity. It's for who wants a boudoir session. That's who it's for. If you want one, you should fucking have one. And that's all I really have to say about it. And if you have a reason that you shouldn't have a boudoir session, I want to hear it. Send me a message at hello@cherrytreeboudoir.com. I want to hear it. Because I really need to write another article that says, is this why you haven't had a photo shoot? Because I already have written 3, but there must be more. There must be more reasons. There must be more concerns that people have. Because from here, it doesn't look like there's any reason not to have a photo shoot. If you can think of a reason why you shouldn't have a photo shoot, I'd like you to send me an email. Do it, if you're not afraid. If you're not a chicken shit, send me an email that says why you think that there's a reason not to have one. Because I would love to know. Is that the end of this podcast? Have we reached the end? I think that's the end. Hopefully this wasn't super convoluted. And hopefully the point that gets across that if you don't want to have a photo shoot, then you shouldn't have one. But if you are interested in having a boudoir photo shoot, you're the only fucking person standing in your way. So stop doing that and get on it. If you want information about having a photo shoot with me, my information is down below in the description box. All you have to do anyway is go to cherrytreeboudoir.com. It's CherryTreeboudoir.com. There's all kinds of information on there. You can click on the blog to read more information about all kinds of stuff. You can go to the FAQ. You can send me a contact. You can click the contact link, send me information directly. You can view the gallery. There's tons of beautiful photos on there. All kinds of different people. And yeah, I mean, there's really not a reason not to go check it out. So if you have any questions, just send the information over to me, and I'd be happy to get back to you. Another way that you can get a lot of information is by going to the Dream Shoot Planner, which I now call the Expose. And just go to cherrytreeboudoir.com and click on the Expose tab, and you'll be able to put in your information, and that'll send a ginormous list of all kinds of cherry tree information and inspiration, and we can just start checking it out. There's price menus in there, all kinds of information about choosing photo shoot locations and, choosing hair and makeup and, whatever it is that you need. Wardrobe. Picking a wardrobe is always really fun and terrifying for some people, but if you fall in the terrifying camp, just take a look at some of the information in there, or send me information, send me your questions directly and we'll figure it out. This is awesome. I actually talked to you guys about my business. It only took 3 podcast episodes. Good job, team. I'd like to take a second to thank you so much for listening to the Lattes and Lingerie Podcast. If you are listening on iTunes, it would be super awesome if you'd rate the podcast, and if you would send, this podcast to someone who you think needs to hear it, especially if they are someone who you think could benefit from a boudoir photography session. It doesn't matter where you live. Of course, if you live outside of the U.S., it might be a little difficult for me to get to you now, but I do travel for work, and that's just the nature of the beast. If somebody has a problem with that, then they don't have to have a photo shoot, but I'm here to empower people, and I'm not going to stop. So if you guys are ready to be empowered by me, just send me your information, and I'll send you my information. Boy, I went out on a tangent again there, didn't I? I better just close this out. So thank you for listening to the podcast. Check out all the socials down below for ways to keep in touch with me. Check out my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't know. I'm not super active on any of them. It's one way to get your message out. So here we are. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Oh, fuck. I forgot to say it. Later, Gator.